A devout Mexican friar dreams of being a world-famous luchador, but his responsibility to the orphans in his care is his unwavering priority. He realizes he can wrestle in secret and earn enough money to make life for the orphans a little bit better. So Ignacio becomes Nacho the luchador in the 2006 comedy Nacho Libre. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
And I'm Isabel Gonzalez.
and this is Fake True Stories.
Another one. We're doing it again. Another sports movie. I don't like sports that much, but I realize that these are the movies that I keep picking, except for Death of Stalin. I think that was the only other pick I have had.
True, but I feel like that movie is also a bit of a I don't know. Is
Hockey was mentioned in it.
is manipulation a sport? I think to certain people, yeah.
I think so.
The sport of
So,
politics. Yeah, the greatest game, if you will.
you
Uh,
like sports.
yeah. But I've made her stop, so we're not doing another one for a bit. There's a lot out there. We will go back to them. Just yeah,
It's not intentional, I promise. I didn't think about it until I was looking up actors in this movie and I got to the Wikipedia and it was like Nacho Libre is a sports movie. I was like, oh, oh no, I did another one.
I had the
Oops.
I had the epiphany last night as I was putting it on. I'm like, wait a minute, this is her third sports movie.
Sports.
Well, welcome to the Filmgazm podcast. Specifically, welcome to our spinoff podcast, Fake True Stories, where Isabel and I discuss the historical accuracy of films that claim to be based on or inspired by true events. Today's pick is Nacho Libre, a Nickelodeon-produced comedy that was loosely inspired by the real-life priest-turned-wrestler Sergio Gutierrez Benitez, who wrestled under the name Fray Tormenta for 23 years. We'll dig into his story in a bit here, but first, this was your pick. Why did you choose Nacho Libre?
I love this movie. This one is one of my favorite movies of all time. Not like without a doubt. My cousin and I quote this all the time. She will call me out of nowhere and will just be like, "Hey, Prima, what was Nacho wearing when he was climbing the mountain?" And I was like, "His white boots, baby." And like she'll just hang up the phone. Like we do it all the time. She always talks about the boots. How did you find me? I saw you from the village. Like, hola, Nacho. All that. We quote this all the time. My family loves this movie. Like, it is a great movie. And then I found out that it was not well received. And I am offended that it was not well received because this is a beautiful movie. I love this movie. I will watch this movie anytime, like American Psycho, Death of Stalin, Django Unchained. Nacho Libre is another one that is on my list. If you say, "Hey, do you want to watch Nacho Libre?" I'll watch it. I will absolutely watch it. I love it. I was quoting pretty much all of it the entire time because I've seen it so many times. Also, I remembered it was loosely based on a true story, so it counts. It is not true. It's a fake true story. But it's off of a true story. Therefore, it qualifies. So I wanted
If
to talk about it.
if we can literally do one of these on, fucking Amityville, I think Nacho Libre counts. I mean, we
Nacho,
set the bar
nacho.
for ridiculous with that one. So, bring it. Inspired by counts. I just also want to say you have the most random film taste of any human being I've ever known. I never know what you're gonna like or not. Like I've never been able to pin that down. I don't know.
No, my crew here does not understand at all my film taste either because they know that American Psycho is one of my comfort films. However, they're like, "You're like the nicest person here. Why is that a go-to film for you?" I'm like, "Because it's funny. Like it's funny." And I convinced them we're watching it tomorrow for our movie night. They were like, "What are we gonna watch for movie night?" I was like, "American Psycho, American Psycho." And one of my other friends likes it, and so we're both like, just
Oh,
we're
geez.
quoting it the whole time. Like, "You like Huey Lewis in the news?" I can't believe Kyle prefers Ben's meme over mine. Like we're just constantly quoting it. But like I like that, but I also really like the Lego movie. If anybody puts on the Lego movie, I'll watch that anytime, anywhere. There's it's like music. There is no genre singular that I like. I like many genre. I've seen many pigs eat many men. I have seen many. That was an Always Sunny quote. I see your
Oh,
face.
like you're just gonna leave that there? Okay. Very
Anyway,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I like that. It's keeps me on my
Wild
toes.
card, baby.
Uh, um, I hadn't seen Nacho Libre since I was a kid, like since I was like 11, 12 years old. I was certain I was gonna hate this. When I put it on, I was like, I'm not gonna enjoy this, and it's gonna be a sad episode. But I was in as soon as Jack Black showed up. I was like, when you're going for when it comes to comedy, always bet on Black. Jack Black knows what he's doing.
It's such a good actor for this movie. Like it just
It's so
like the
ridiculous.
beginning. How come we can never have just like a salad? And there's just his opening lines. Today it's especially delicious. Mira, con permission. Like it's so good. And he's drawing in church and he's like hiding it from the kid. And I don't even know which saint is looking at him. And he like freaks out. It's so... The fact that people don't like this movie bothers me. And people are entitled to their opinions. They're allowed to not like the things that I like. But this is a good movie. The humor is good. And I was reading reviews that were like, it's hard to put Jack Black in a bad movie, but this one really took the cake. And I was like, what? Like, what? Anyway, it's
Yeah.
whatever.
I think people, like you said, they're entitled to their opinions, but I mean, can't you just shut up and watch this and just try to enjoy it? Like there's certain movies where you just got to be like, stop trying to be problematic. Just sit down, shut up, and laugh. Like you
It's a
can do that.
stupid comedy. It's like Napoleon Dynamite. It's a stupid comedy. It's like it's just I'm just gonna watch it and laugh because it's dumb, but it's smart humor. Like the timing of the movie, the stupid like random noises in the background, like all the stuff that they add to it, the facial expressions of like all the characters, the like the slaps and stuff. It's a good movie.
Somebody pointed out that it has the vibe of a Wes Anderson movie. Like it feels like Wes Anderson, which I could totally fucking see. It was very weird, but like the way it's shot, like it is. I wonder if it's. I'm gonna look up real quick if it's the same cinematographer because that would be fucking crazy. Uh,
I just
uh,
know this guy also made Napoleon Dynamite and he's making a Minecraft movie, apparently.
really?
Minecraft. I'm gonna watch it in 2025, according to Wikipedia. Minecraft movie's coming out. So when Fake True Stories or Filmgazm does all of their like 500th billionth episode in 2025, after I talked about Five Nights at Freddy's 3 years prior, well, we're gonna talk about Minecraft.
Um, that means I have to see the Minecraft movie, and I
Minecraft, get the out of my room. I'm playing Minecraft.
all right. So the guy who did the cinematography for this did not do Wes Anderson, but it's a nice,
Sad.
yeah, it's very similar.
It's good.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the opening question here. So this movie's obviously about, very much about wrestling, specifically luchador wrestling, but shifting it back to stateside. I know you're a big fan of WWE. So who are some of your
Yes.
favorite like wrestlers throughout time?
Randy Orton, the legend killer, the Viper. He's been gone for a little bit now, and it physically hurts me that I have not gotten to hear voices whenever he comes out. Randy Orton, I love that man. Randy Orton, Sheamus. I think Sheamus is pretty sick. I love watching The Rock, just like clips of him. I started watching it for viewers. I'm a new wrestling fan relatively. I did not get to watch during the Ruthless Aggression era. We didn't have cable, and that was what SmackDown and Raw was on. It was on different networks out there. They brought SmackDown to Fox close to the pandemic, and I kept seeing commercials for it, and I was like, that's dumb. And I was watching South Park, and one of my favorite South Park episodes is the wrestling one because it just always made me laugh. And then I kept seeing commercials for it, and one day, for some reason, my brain was like, let's see if it's as wacky as South Park says. And it is. So I started watching in 2020. So a lot of my wrestlers that I like are new. So I'm sure people will be less like, oh, she's a big wrestling fan, but she's not naming anybody from back then because I didn't watch it back then. But yeah, Randy Orton. I like watching like the Rock clips. Sheamus, Drew McIntyre. Mwah, beautiful. I like him just for the looks. I watch wrestling for the plot. Bunch of built shirtless dudes. Woo. It's fantastic. The storylines are great. I've always also like Matt Riddle. That's another guy. He was Randy Orton's partner for a bit before Randy Orton got hurt, which really hurt. And then OG Heavy Machinery fan. They got rid of Tucker, who was one of the people, but Otis, whenever I first started, was on the story arc where he was like wooing like one of the hottest ladies in the thing. And to give you an idea, Otis is like, I don't want to say I think he's for sure over 300 pounds, like a big, just like, he looks like a bulldog, just dude, very like country blue collar looking dude wooing this like supermodel, like bombshell chick. And they had this whole love arc going on. It was really good. And then the writing got crap in 2021 because wrestling writing is stupid to begin with, but it got bad where you're just like, this doesn't make sense at all. Like it didn't make sense before. This especially doesn't make sense for wrestling terms. And it fell apart. And now he's on like another one. But yeah, there's I've been to WrestleMania. I got to go to WrestleMania 2 years ago when it was in DFW, or I guess a year ago, which was fantastic. I got to see Randy Orton live and I screamed Sami Zayn. Paul Heyman is not a wrestler, but he's one of my favorite people. He was like the hype man for Brock Lesnar. Now he's doing it for the tribal chief Roman Reigns, who's been in like the spotlight of WWE for over 1,000 days now. He's been the champion like pretty much since I started watching. Like it's been the same guy in charge, and he always wins in stupid ways, and it's fine because I've come to accept it now. My brother and I have a poster of him in his room, and we praise the tribal chief whenever we walk by. We do our fingers in the air like tribal chief is number one. Once I got into it, I got my whole family into it. It was like I'm into this, so now all of you are going to be into it. Because I started watching it like, this is stupid. Why are you watching this as well? I was like, because it's funny. And then slowly each of them would sit down with me and watch it. And then I got them all to watch WrestleMania when it was live during COVID. So there was nobody there. And that was really awkward. The COVID years of wrestling were really weird. The first like 4 months when it was just silence. Yeah. Woo, wrestling.
I don't know who any of those people are. I'm all right. So I'm more of an 80s guy. My dad got me into 80s wrestlers, specifically Macho Man Randy Savage. Mm-hmm. No one's ever gonna conquer the Macho Madness as far as I'm concerned. And that man, I would love to know like the amount of, I want to know what his cocaine budget was. Because that man was never sober, and he was just so wild and so crazy. One of my favorite videos of all time is the Cream of the Crop interview where Randy does this amazing sleight of hand with these little cups of like coffee creamer. Keeps referring to himself as the cream of the crop. It's the funniest shit. It's so weird. It inspired me to go to dress up as Randy Savage for Halloween last year, which was so much fun. I built the whole costume from scratch. I found all the pieces and I stayed in character the whole night. Not 2 Halloweens ago. Last Halloween, I was Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction with my cousin Ryan, who was Jules, which was also really fun. But yeah, I love Macho Man. I think he's nuts. Hulk Hogan always makes me laugh. I love Ric Flair. Like, I just love the whole woo thing. I love that.
Can't stand his daughter. Oh my Lord. She has a nip slip every time there's a pay-per-view event. Every time. That is not accidental. She does that on purpose. And anytime a new female wrestler gets the title, guess who comes out? Charlotte Flair. And she always gets some sort of work done. So she'll come back and you're like, who is this? where did Charlotte go? Like, oh, she got a nose job, she got a chin job. That's where she's been the last like 3 months. Is so dumb. I'm so tired of it. Asuka, other people, Asuka, Bianca Belair. I love them. There are so many wrestlers that if I saw Big E, Big E's been gone because he got hurt too. Sami Zayn, Boogs, Rick Boogs. There are so many wrestlers. I love WWE. It is great. It's wholesome family fun. That's what I say. I'm like, it's just mindless entertainment that I enjoy. It's just stupid. It's very impressive, the acrobatic feats that they do, because it's obvious it's fake and everybody knows that it's fake. But them actually jumping off of like the top, ring, the top rope onto another person is not fake. There's no ropes holding them. Like they have to do that. It's very skilled. They're strong. Like these are actual strong people that could kick anybody's ass. They're just doing the pageantry of it. They have a personality. So it's like, oh, well, Roman Reigns is going to win because the referee is going to get his eyes like spit in his face or something, and then he's gonna hit someone with a chair and you're like, oh boo, kind of a thing. But like them actually like spearing somebody and RKOing, like that's legit and it's awesome. It's like, like I was there in 2021 when John Cena came back. I was at Money in the Bank at Fort Worth and Roman Reigns beat Edge, and I also love Edge. Edge is awesome too, on like his theme song. Anyway, we were there and we knew we're like, someone's gonna come out and challenge Roman Reigns. And freaking John Cena, the first note, and I was like, I have never heard a crowd that loud in my life. I went to the Taylor Swift concert. I have not heard a crowd as loud as the freaking Dickies Arena Wrestling fan base when John Cena came back. It was awesome. He did the thing.
That would have been fucking awesome. Yeah.
It was so sick. I was like, he's back. His shorts. He has his jean shorts.
Oh, this whole world is so like wild to be. So, did you ever see the film Fighting with My Family?
No.
It was a 2019 biopic of Paige and
okay.
how she ended up in WWE, and it was that's how for people like me who don't really know a lot about this whole fandom, I got to see a little bit of inside work on how that whole organization operates, and it was interesting. Dwayne Johnson plays himself as like as giving them advice, and it was a cool movie. It was a neat, like they're like a family of wrestlers, and she gets the big time, but her brother doesn't, and it causes a rift between them, but it gets healed eventually.
Yeah.
I recommend checking that out, y'all, if you don't know what the hell Isabel's talking about.
There's so much. There's so much lore. There are families that have been doing this, like The Rock. His dad married into the, I can't remember their name, family, but it has like Samoa Joe and the current like Roman Reigns, the Usos. There's a huge Tamina, a huge family of Samoan wrestlers, and then in like luchador, there's families that do this stuff, and it's a thing because it's like modern circus stuff, because that's very similar to what it is. It's pageantry. You're performing. You have a personality. People pay. That's why, like in the 2000s, it was so popular because they had big names like John Cena and The Rock. You don't really have that right now, and they're really trying to get that with Roman Reigns. But Roman Reigns isn't bringing in like the big outer WWE universe fan base like they were with John Cena and all that. And then that was what was so big with like the 80s is you have Hulk Hogan, you have Macho Man Randy Savage, you have Ric Flair, you have those larger than life personalities. They don't really have that right now. Roman Reigns is just really good at being like, acknowledge me. Like that's it. And you're like, yeah, like I acknowledge you, tribal chief. But you don't have the like there's no one in there right now that's going to be going on like TV or movies like those other dudes would go on to be, and that's a big part of it, but I still love it. I haven't watched it in a bit because I don't have TV here. I was telling Connor, for people listening, I get 6 megabits of internet out where I'm at right now. So if I don't sound good on this, it's because I'm paying $60 a month to get 6 megabits of internet per second, paying $10 per megabit, which is great. It's awesome.
Well, it's working
out. I can't watch things. It's fine.
It's funny. Right when you said that, you went a little bit like choppy. It was like perfectly timed. I'm gonna leave
See,
that because that was just too perfect.
that's perfect. It's dangerous because I talk fast and I have rapid fire thoughts. Everything that I say in the show is not scripted. It just comes out. So if you're like, wait, we have to stop and redo it, I'm not going to say the same thing again because I don't even know what just came out of my mouth. Like, my dad listened to the show. So if he's listening to this, hi, dad. And he was like, you need to, like, he's like, remember things that you say on the internet last forever. I was like, what did I say? Like, I don't know what I was. It's the Disney princesses and the fat pig on Glory Road, and I was like, oh, I don't even remember talking about that.
Oh yeah, I've done like 500 of these at this point. I don't know. I'm not even sure what I've said. I'm sure I've pissed off some people. I don't know. At this point, like I'm 4 years into this. Fuck it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
don't
just
care.
keep going. Whatever.
Content's content. Have you ever heard of the Shockmaster?
No.
My dad told me about this, and I looked up the video, and it is some of the funniest, cringiest shit I've ever seen. So, in when was this? 1993. They tried to introduce a new wrestler, the Shockmaster, and he was like, billed as this like, new badass like bad guy or something. And the introduction was so botched, it completely destroyed this guy's image. He did not make it that far as a wrestler. They tried to rebrand him as kind of a goof. So this is what happened. It was an interview segment hosted by Ric Flair. This guy came out and said he's the Shockmaster. He's supposed to burst through a wall. He tripped through the wall, fell over. His helmet, which was a stormtrooper helmet from Star Wars that had been bedazzled and like painted purple, that fell off. He grabbed it and tried to put that on. He also was wearing a pair of jeans and a large black puffy vest. It did not look like they put a lot of thought into the costume.
Oh my gosh. We keep talking about people. You said pair of jeans. I forgot my favorite, my absolute favorite wrestler, Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman. If I could be a man, I would be Braun Strowman. If you don't know who that is, look him up right now. I will wait.
Okay.
That is who I want to be. If I could be a dude, Braun Strowman. He is everything I am not.
Jesus.
He's bald. He's like 7 foot. He can just step over the top rope. He wears jeans. I hate wearing jeans. He just, and they let him go. They let him go at some point, and I was devastated. I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. And then they brought him back, and I was like, oh my God. I cried when he came back. I was so excited. I'm like, he's back. Braun.
My God.
He also has nipple piercings, which is not something I'm interested in, but he has them.
Holy shit.
You said jeans, and it just reminded me of my boy Braun Strowman. Like,
Well, this guy looks badass. But I recommend looking up the video of the Shockmaster because it's so ridiculous. The guy's like viciously out of shape too. So it's like a chubby stormtrooper like tripping through a wall and trying to be awesome, and it's not taken. And I figured because this movie's about Nacho, a bad wrestler who's not very good at it but has the heart, reminded me of the Shockmaster. So I wanted to shout one of wrestling's biggest blunders. Yeah, the Shockmaster, hilarious. Okay, well that was fun. I don't know who any of those people are, but I do like the world of wrestling. I think it's outrageous, and people have fun with it.
It's fun. You can just do stupid things. Ric Flair, in one of the more recent years story arcs, got Lacey Evans, another one of the wrestlers that I like. A lot of wrestlers. It's like music. There's no like Braun Strowman is that one is my favorite male, and then Asuka is my favorite female. Those are my two. But Lacey Evans is like a bombshell like type wrestler. She was a former Marine. Like legitimately, it's not part of her story arc. Ric Flair got her pregnant, quote, and one of the things, and it was so gross because he's like in his 80s, and she actually was pregnant, so that's how she was announcing I'm leaving. But they were doing this whole story arc. Ric Flair was flirting with her, and Charlotte Flair was all pissed about it. And when she came out, she was all like, "Charlotte, I'm pregnant," and Rick said, "Woo!" And that was it. I was like, I hate everything. This is awful.
Oh my God.
It's the worst. I WrestleMania, or I was watching WrestleMania this year, and Shane McMahon, who Vince, his dad let go. Vince legit let him go, and then Vince got in trouble. Vince is no longer really a part of WWE. Shane McMahon came back, and Vince always comes out at WrestleMania, so he's not a part of really WWE that much anymore. So he didn't go to WrestleMania this year. So instead, Shane came out, and everyone was like, "Oh, Shane," because he's like, "Here comes the money," and he like comes out and he runs, and he always does high flying stuff. That's what he does. He'll like get on top of like the steel cage and just jump off of it. That's just what he does. This one, he did this move where Snoop Dogg was out there, and he ran and like jumped over Snoop Dogg and then fell and like hurt his ankle, and he had to get escorted off the stage. It's like, oh, Snoop handled it really well though. Snoop was just like, hey man, like, dog, he fell. Anyway, like I couldn't tell if he was legit hurt. That's one of the worst parts of wrestling, is you can't tell if someone's actually hurt or if it's a part of the show. Like my brother and I will go to minor league wrestling events like in the Metroplex, and we'll go watch them, and those are way more fun than live WWE events because it's smaller. The people are actually interacting with you. You can say something, they're like, "Hey, like I heard that," they start like cussing at you, and it's like it's not as family friendly because it doesn't have to be suitable for television. It's great. And there was a dude that was there, and we were like, is he actually hurt, or is this a part of the show? Like I can't tell. And that has caused problems actually in wrestling, and I'm going to talk about that very, very briefly later on, because that happened in real life with a certain individual. So yeah,
I went to a wrestling match when I was a kid. I think it was part of like my aunt used to run the soldier show for the army, and I think this was part of that. I don't remember. I was very young. I don't remember if this was connected, but I remember there were two wrestlers. One was this like super huge fat guy, and the other dude was this skinny dude in a green costume who I think was trying to be the Riddler from Batman. And the audience hated him and just watched the fat dude pummel the shit out of this little green guy. I don't remember names. I just remember green, fat. We liked the fat guy. That's all I remember. But yeah, I don't know that's the only time I've ever gone to a wrestling match. I was like 7, maybe. I don't remember.
They're literally the best. I love in-person small local league wrestling. I had an ex-boyfriend that was a wrestler, and I loved going to those shows. Not for him, it was just to see all the other stupid ass characters. Because there's no really regular. You could do whatever you want. You could show up and be like, "I'm the Muffin Man," and you just like throw muffins at like your opponent, and that's your thing. And it's great because you can do that. It's like you see the videos, like the jokes on YouTube or on Instagram or Reddit or whatever. It's like, "Oh yeah, wrestling is fake. Then explain this, loser." And it's some like really stupid thing. That's where you see that. You see it either in old school WWE or you see it in local leagues. I've also seen very dangerous things at local stuff. There was a cage match one time where they put the cages together very badly, and then of course, my brother and I knew, we're like, as soon as someone gets slammed into that, those little zip ties are gonna get. They're just going to break. And guess what happened? As soon as somebody got hit into it, yeah, zip ties flew apart, and then they had to get all their little crew to be on the side holding it up. I'm like, this is not safe. So the next time they did a cage match, it was better. But I'm like, we're going to move back. We're going to stand up and we're going to move back so we don't die at the like $15 a ticket show that also are like 4 hours long. They are super long. Like, it's just, we're going to film everything. It's great. This is my Hispanic coming out of me. This is the hick part, is watching the wrestling. The wrestling, it's the best.
Oh yeah, maybe we'll do Fighting with My Family down the road, because that's a biopic of Paige, talks about WWE directly. I think you'd have a lot of fun with that one. Okay, so Nacho Libre. This movie came about thanks to Jack Black being a big fan of director Jared Hess's previous movie, 2004's Napoleon Dynamite.
I wish that one was based on a true story. I wish it was. That's another one of my favorite films of all time.
I saw that once when I was a kid. Again, same as Nacho Libre. I watched it as a kid and thought, this is fucking stupid. I don't want to see this again. But then everyone around me has told me like, no, dude, it's good. And so maybe I got to revisit. Maybe we'll just do that as a regular Filmgazm.
Oh, we should get a life. Shut up. My brother and I quote that movie all the time too.
This guy Jared Hess did Napoleon Dynamite. He did Nacho Libre, and then like a couple TV episodes. Then he did a movie called Masterminds in 2016, and not much else. Like I don't know, because he makes like memorable comedy, but not exactly box office hits. So if you're not making box office hits, your career is gonna take it's gonna take a dive a little bit. But I could be wrong. Maybe he did something else. I don't know. Or maybe he just didn't
I
want to.
haven't recognized anything that he did, but two of his movies are literally two of my favorite movies ever. So,
Well, the two of them met in LA to discuss a possible collaboration, which has got to be cool when Jack Black calls you and is like, "Hey, I loved your movie, man. Let's do something." Like, neat. Black was drawn to Hess's idea of a man of the Lord secretly living a life of violence via his love of lucha libre wrestling. So from there, they developed Nacho Libre. Black, however, he expressed concerns over portraying a Mexican character. But Hess quelled his concerns, saying Ignacio is a gringo born and raised in Mexico. So Jack Black was like, oh, okay, loophole. I'll take it. You couldn't do that now, but in 2006, go nuts. While filming, Jack Black sustained a gash on his eye after diving out of the wrestling ring during a stunt. He was rushed to the hospital, was able to continue filming. At one point, his PSP disappeared on set, and they had to shut down production to try to find it. They never did find that PSP. So,
what is a PSP?
PlayStation Portable. It was like
okay. I thought it was like some like
I
thought it was some like film thing. I wasn't expecting a video game system. Okay, yeah, I know what
yeah.
that is.
Yeah, it was, for those of you who don't remember, it was basically Sony's answer to the Game Boy that didn't last very long.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, my cousin had one. I tried to play God of War on it once, and I was like, the controller, it was so small. The freaking analog sticks were so tiny, I couldn't get past the first level. I didn't care for that system. But Jack Black had one, and it disappeared, and they had to hunt it down, and they didn't find it. When I first read that, I read it as PCP, which is a much different situation. So it's like, Jack Black's drugs are missing. We got to find them, which is what happened on Tropic Thunder. So in the movie, his, quote unquote, jelly beans run out. He has serious withdrawal. I love Tropic Thunder. That's my favorite Jack Black movie. The song that Jack Black sings at the party was improvised. Is I'm Singing at the Party song. He just made that up on the fly. Perfect. Let's talk a bit about Ramses. So Ramses is portrayed by Cesar Gonzalez, a real-life luchador best known as Silver King, a second-generation luchador, son of lucha libre legend Dr. Wagner. He's also the brother of luchador Dr. Wagner Jr. and the uncle of the recently debuted Dr. Wagner III. They're not exactly that creative when it comes to naming their characters, but whatever. And he unfortunately died in the ring. He had a heart attack in 2019 at 51 years old during a match in London and didn't make it. So Ramses died in the ring. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I didn't look too much into it, but that's one of those examples. Someone goes down. That happens a lot where they go down and you're like, well, maybe he just like flubbed a spot. Like, is he good? And then you wait too long and oh no, Rey Mysterio, one of like a really popular wrestler, he killed somebody when he was actually doing lucha libre in Mexico. Like he killed somebody. He didn't intentionally do it, but something happened where he hit him and I think they had a heart attack. It happens a lot and it's really sad because like they're doing this stuff. It's a lot of stress on them. That's why that's fake. It's fake in the sense that we know who's going to win before, not we, but like they know who's going to win beforehand. It's not fake in the things that they're having done to their bodies. Shane McMahon is legit jumping off a 25-foot cage, like Edge is legitimately jumping onto a pile of people. Rey Mysterio is really jumping from the top rope down on top of a dude's boot. Like, they do it in ways to help mitigate it, but it hurts. And there's a lot of people that get addicted to drugs because of that. Jeff Hardy, for example, he is like really badly addicted to drugs. He's a really awesome wrestler, but WWE was like, you got to get help, dude. And they were trying to get him to go to rehab, and he wasn't going, and he left. He ended up going to, I think he's at AEW right now, but he's like in and out of hospitals. They had like a whole story arc not that long ago on WWE making fun of his addiction. And I don't know if I would hope that was like okayed by Jeff Hardy. But I don't know. It's sad when that stuff happens, because this is very strenuous on the body. I could never do it. The blood, though, however, I found out from my ex-boyfriend, they cut themselves to bleed for the most part. Not all the time. Sometimes they're legit, but like if you see like in the old like Raw and stuff, they come up, their like faces just blood. They have little knives in their like wristbands, and they cut themselves. And that is the stupidest thing in the world. And I told him that. I was like, that's dumb. And he's like, no, it looks cool. I'm like, no, that's stupid. That's kind of fake, but it's real blood. So
they don't have like a safety phrase to say, like when actual shit goes down. They're not like, hey, banana pancakes or something. And then, yeah.
I'm sure there is, but things happen. If you have a heart attack, you're not gonna.
That's true.
Like kayfabe. You gotta.
Well, maybe like a hand gesture where you're like, 2 thumbs up and a side swipe. I don't know, something. Yeah. West Side, something like that. Yeah, real quick. It's, at the end of the day, like, I imagine it's similar to a movie set. It's not real, but shit can happen. People don't pull their punches correctly. Harrison Ford punches Ryan Gosling in the face, like on Blade Runner 2. I love that picture. Gosling's just like, and Ford's
like Baldwin accidentally kills somebody on set.
Yeah, that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to be prepared for that shit. You're doing a performance. You got to know your mark. You got to know your lines. You got to not actually fully punch somebody in the throat. So, yeah. Do you think WWE, like, I don't know much about how like its place in the art world, but I assume it's not very well respected by traditional artists.
Not that, yeah, I don't think it's very respected but I think it is a respectable art, because they're putting in acrobatics, they're putting in actual physical strength, and they're putting in comedy, which is kind of hard to do. And they do a good job, especially like The Rock. When The Rock was on, homie was hilarious. Like, I watched some of those videos and you're like, oh my Lord, these things that are coming out of their mouths, like it is good. It's just, athletes hate it because it's not written. It's just, they're just, it's all pre-recorded. And then actors hate it because they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of like outlandish, over the top stuff. It's its own thing. Like, there's nothing really like wrestling. It's just, that's also why a lot of wrestlers, whenever they go on to be actors, they're not very good actors, because they're good at doing, not all of them, but like John Cena. Is John Cena a good actor? I don't think so.
I do think so.
Really?
Yes.
See, I don't think he is. I think The Rock isn't a bad actor, but a lot of them, it's like, oh, like, look at like this person, like, him because he was in this thing, but they have a very specific style that they do as wrestlers and stuff. It's a very like over the top, like, like Vince McMahon's little like the boss persona.
The Rock is a very successful movie star. He's not a very good actor. John Cena, pretty decent actor. Did you see the Peacemaker series?
No.
That's what got me. There's a scene with a CGI eagle that's hugging him that should be the dumbest shit in the world, and I was in tears.
Oh.
So, and then you got like, Batista, who's just fucking amazing at what he does. So
that's true. That is true.
He's a great actor. So I think, like you said, it's half performance, half athleticism. I understand the athletes being a little irritated, but the actors need to shut the fuck up. When there's like 5 Baby Geniuses movies with Jon Voight, it's not sacred. So let's just shut up about that. My God. There's
I
so many
just
terrible movies out there that like you shouldn't be mocking wrestlers for doing frankly better than you.
it's great. And then also though, because WWE also, it's not just these like people, it's not just the wrestlers. They bring in celebrities to do stuff all the time. Like
I've seen
for
some of that stuff.
example,
Yeah.
Johnny Knoxville, he was at the WrestleMania I went to. He had like a whole thing with Sami Zayn leading up to. It was hilarious. Bad Bunny is a part of the group right now. Like he's been doing a lot of stuff with them for the last 3 years. Unfortunately, so is Logan Paul. That's annoying. I hate that. He was at WrestleMania when I was there, and I was booing the ever loving crap out of that man because he sucks. But they'll bring on like actual like big name people to it sometimes, which is pretty cool. Freaking I mean there was like a fight like a long time ago, not getting political with this, but like a long time ago when he wasn't a politician, Donald Trump had a billionaires brawl with freaking like Vince McMahon, and they shaved McMahon's head on the thing, and Trump actually tackled him. Like they bring people like that on there, and it's great. So I like the blending of like cultures. Like it's I think it's one of those like you either love it or you hate it, and there's like that's what it is. You either like this is great or like that's stupid. And there's not really I've yet to find like a yeah, like a lot of people that are like it's okay. Like most people are either one or the other, and that's it. And I got onto the I love this because COVID. People said we're gonna make sourdough bread. Isabel said I'm gonna watch wrestling.
I think you made the right choice. Too many people I know did turn to the bread making route, which is weird. Like so many people I know made bread.
I already bake. I'm already a baker. I don't need to keep baking more because everybody else is doing it. It made me bake less because I'm like, well, if I start posting when I'm baking still, people are going to think I'm doing it because of COVID. No. So now I watch wrestling. That's what I do now. That's my new personality. I'm going to download it and this is going to be what I do for the next however many years that I'm still into it. My friends are amazed that I'm still into it. They're like, you're still into that? I'm like, yep. Yes, I am.
Well, I can see. I mean, I totally get why you love this movie now.
And there are actual luchadores in the movie. I don't know them because I don't know lucha libre like the lore or anything behind any of the Mexican leagues, but I looked it up and a lot of the actors in the movie, especially like in like the battle jam, are actual like luchadors. Like they're actually people that fight, which is pretty cool. Ramses, like you said, was an actual luchador. And he wore the gold mask once, apparently, during a thing. He actually wore like the gold Ramses outfit once.
I read that the original guy, Fray Tormenta, he's in the movie.
Yeah, he was a cameo. I think I saw him. He had a mask on, and I think he was in like the corner. I could tell from his eyes, and it looked like it was him. I was like, "There's," and he's at the party. He's at the party whenever Nacho's singing, like, "I am singing at the party." Like he was there. I think in the right hand corner.
I love that. I love that. Nacho Libre has an IMDb score of 5.9, Rotten Tomato score of 40%, audience score of 55%.
I hate that.
Critics' consensus reads, at times hilarious, but other times offensive. Director Jared Hess is unable to recapture the collective charisma of his Napoleon characters, instead relying on a one-joke concept that runs out of steam. Sure to entertain the adolescents, however. Ouch.
I am an adolescent then. What is the one joke? There's multiple jokes throughout that movie. What is the one joke? I need that person to elaborate. Go back to your review from 2006 and tell me what you meant by this.
I assume it's that he's fat and can't actually do this.
They do other jokes, like the corn. Get that corn out of my face. Like, surprise. There's a crazy lady. I get to lay in a bed by myself every night. It's fantastic. I was wondering if you wanted to join me in my quarters for some toast. Like, those are good jokes.
Yeah, I've noticed a trend on Rotten Tomatoes. They don't like comedy. They really don't. Comedy and horror, they are constantly attacking for not being worth their time, almost, which makes me think like, oh, you sound fun.
I know. You take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
But also, I feel comedies are some of the hardest things to do because comedies people's sense of humor constantly changes. If you were to put this movie out at a different time period, it might not have been received as, like it's like when Napoleon Dynamite, like you put that out today, I don't know if it would receive the same ha 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 as it did when it was. I like to think it was, but that's because I know the movie. I've seen it. I love it. Would I go see it now? I don't know. I saw these because my parents took us to see it, and I'm glad that they did because they're fantastic.
Yeah, I'm with you. We see that a lot with 80s comedies. Like there's a lot of shit in 80s comedies that would not fly today at all. It would end careers overnight. But, because they exist in this bubble, they're fair game. So
Yeah.
it is there's trends, there's, society changes, what our definition of what's okay and what's not constantly changes. And, comedy more than any other genre suffers for that. Like this year, we're finally getting like R-rated raunchy comedies again, like No Hard Feelings and Joyride and Strays, all of which were really funny. So like, I just want to laugh. In the moment, I really don't care who's getting offended. I just want to laugh.
That's why I appreciate South Park so much, because they don't care. Like, I'm Catholic. They make fun of Catholics all the time. I don't care that they do, because they make fun of everybody. It's not like they're just making fun of Catholics. They make fun of everybody. And I appreciate that. And they don't care. And it's good. Like, you can just laugh because it's satire. It's a joke. Like, that's what it is. That's why I enjoy playing games like Cards Against Humanity and Jackbox with groups that I'm really good friends with, because we can joke and we know we're not being offended. We know we're not, like, this is not us actually. It's just funny. I don't know. That could, well, humor can be whatever. Like, comedy is a very difficult thing. Comedians I think it's a very hard job, because you're making fun of people. People don't like to be made fun of. So, and it's like the most subjective. Love story is pretty easy to do. Like, I feel like those are pretty easy. Dramas, you can make something dramatic, and it's pretty easy to make it like, oh, that's dramatic. But comedy, because everybody has different senses of humor, this one, it does have a very particular sense of humor. I get why people don't like it. I don't care. I think they're wrong.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Comedy and horror are the two genres that are like more subjective than any other. Because like you make an action movie, even if you didn't like it, you can't deny that it was an action movie. Same with drama, same with, musicals. Horror, if it didn't, I've had people argue that if it didn't scare them, it's not a horror movie. Like, and comedy, if it doesn't make you laugh, is it a comedy? It's weird. It's a weird, very subjective, different to everybody thing. And yeah, no one will ever crack that. Explaining what's funny is impossible. You just know it.
Well,
you
it's
know it's funny.
Exactly. It's like with memes. You can't when you explain the joke, it's no longer funny. Joker says that he's like, it's no longer funny if you have to explain it, and he like gets mad at Harley for it. I was like, that's how it is. Like, it's not funny when you have to explain it. You just know it's funny because your body's just like, like you just start laughing at it. That's how this whole day when I was watching this movie again, I was just laughing the whole time because it's just a funny movie. I can't tell you why it's funny that he's eating toast with Encarnacion and they're crunching really loud, but it's funny to me. Yeah. I can't tell you why him like baptizing Stephen and say Felicidades, like, it's so funny, but it is.
I don't know why I was cackling at the end of the movie when Encarnacion smiles at him sweetly and he does that weird, like, kind of weird, I don't know what to do with my face smile.
I love that movie so much. This movie's so good.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. So Nacho
we haven't
Libre...
even talked about it yet. Like, we have, but we haven't. Okay, keep going.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
we're almost there. We're almost there, but Nacho Libre was a modest hit, grossing 99 million on a budget of 35 million, so pretty good. It's currently streaming on Prime Video. There's been talks of a sequel for a long time. Jack Black wants to do it. Jared Hess wants to do it. No one wants to pay for it. So no studio wants to finance the sequel. So it'll probably never happen. But then again, Good Burger 2 comes out in a couple months. So you never know.
I do not want this into a sequel. Just like I don't want Napoleon Dynamite into a sequel. Leave it alone. Futurama should not have been brought back. leave it alone.
Have you
That is
watched
the
any of
bad
those?
thing about I have, and I hate it. The only episode I've liked so far is the Amy and Kif one, and that's it. And that one has been like okay, like I don't think I'd go back to rewatch it, but it was like that one was fine. The other ones, no. If it's dead, leave it. They comedies are the worst with that too. That's the problem. Comedies can be so hard to write, and then once one's good, they're like, oh, it was good. We got to keep making money off of it, and then they ruin it, and it's annoying because you're like, just leave it alone. Just let it be. Just let it be an only child. Just let Napoleon Dynamite just be its own thing. They made a show about it. The show was crap. Let Nacho Libre be its own thing. This almost 20 years later, do not bring it back. I have so many. I hate sequels that come out decades later. Credibles 2. We can talk. Yeah, that's a whole. Anyway, keep going. I can make this episode like 3 hours talking about all these things.
Yeah, belated sequels suck. It rarely works. Like it's Top Gun Maverick, for example, is like the rare instance of that being a huge success, and I think a pretty good movie. But that's rare. Most of the time, it's just like everyone looks too old to be doing this. No one's there for the movie. They're all there for the check. It's very blatantly a cash grab.
Indiana Jones. It's a ploy to millennials. That's what it is. And we as millennials / early Gen Z people need to stop giving them money for it. At all you Disney adults letting them do all the live action Disney movies, I'm calling you out. Like, it's causing problems. It's ruining our culture. We can't accept anything new because we just got to keep making old stuff again. But look, don't you remember when you were 7 when the movie came out? Ha ha ha, we're just gonna CGI Jack Black to look younger again. It's okay. Oh, but it was crap, but you still gave us money for it, so we're gonna do a 3rd one. Stop. 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 It's annoying.
God damn. Yeah, you heard it here. Keep doing it, and she's gonna have an aneurysm.
I'm gonna kill someone.
You might get your wish, because this year, every time they've done that, it's bombed. Like Indiana Jones did not do well. Little Mermaid did good, but not as good as they wanted.
Huh, I wonder why. Because it's another live action remake that probably wasn't going to do good because all the other ones have sucked. Like,
yeah, I'm hoping that the trends of this year start killing some of that shit, because it's time. Yeah. It needs to stop. In original ideas. It's worked for 100 years. Like, keep rely on people's originality and creativity. People will respond to it.
Yeah, like we get original movies that's why I think Everything Everywhere All at Once did so good, because it was an original movie. The Barbie movie, an original movie. You can't be like, oh, it's a remake of the one from the 80s. Oh, it's a remake from the one from 2001. Nope, it is its own thing, and it was good. Make your own thing. People can write stuff. You can do whatever you want. Get Chat GP, whatever, to do that. They're probably doing it. Like,
that's the problem. That's what the writers are striking for. Like, don't do that, and rely on people. Yeah. Here's the question: are you gonna go see Barbie 2?
Barbie 2?
That's gonna.
I know it's gonna come out. Probably not, because I don't want to support that, because it's gonna be crap. They're gonna say, "Oh, look how much money we made off of the first one. Barbieheimer. We're gonna release it at another really big, like, crazy documentary that Kristen Nolan's gonna put out, and it's gonna be whatever, like some crazy Barbie Stein, because it's an Einstein movie now, because that's the sequel or that's the prequel to Oppenheimer."
My God.
No, just like with Joker, I'm not going to go see the newest one because I think it's stupid. They shouldn't make another Joker. I don't care that Lady Gaga is in it. No.
So you were just against sequels across the board?
No, I'm against sequels if there's no reason for there to be a sequel. Joker did not end in a way that was like, I wonder what happens next. That was a good standalone thing. I understand, like, superhero films, you can keep having superhero things going on. I don't give a shit what Barbie's going to do as a human now. She's not Barbie anymore. I don't care. Like, the story ended. It was a good ta-da, but they leave it now. I feel these movies do that. They leave it in the, if it does good enough, well, we left this little string at the end that we can just, and we'll just go down this whole rabbit hole. And that's what every movie's doing now. think not every movie deserves a sequel. Some of them do, but not everyone does. That's how I feel about that. And it's just, especially, I don't know. It's like I felt Barbie was a good standalone film. I don't feel it needs a sequel unless they did it like an anthology where we follow a different Barbie. It's a different character. We're not doing Margot Robbie anymore because they said there were multiple Barbies. So let's see what a different Barbie does. Let's see what a different Ken does. Okay, maybe I'll go off of that. But what is Margot Robbie doing with a vagina now? Oh, she just got out of her gynecological exam. How are the Kens doing in the misogyny or in their no longer misogynistic society?
I don't I don't think she does she have genitals now? Like,
she was getting a gynecological exam. That was the end of the movie.
but how did she become human? Shouldn't she
Because the Barbie maker was like, are you sure you want this? I have the power to turn you into a human. And then she shows her the wonderful things about life. And they didn't show her any of the bad things about life. So Barbie said, yeah, I want to be a human because I see all the happy things. You didn't show me any of the bad stuff, like genocide and human suffering. Sure. And then she goes up there, just like, I'm here for a gynecological exam. You're not going to get that if you're a Barbie. You're going to get that because you're a human now. She a person.
I just assumed it was a mental switch, not an actual physical transformation. Okay, that's my bad. I assumed it was going to be like the doctor was going to go in there and there's nothing there and he was going to freak the fuck out. But, whatever.
No, she a person.
We'll find out in Barbie too.
Are you sure you want this? And she was all like, yeah. And then I'm here for a gynecological exam. And they were like, ah, ha, 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 ha. We don't need another one. We don't need to know what happened. Barbie get STDs now. Oh no. Like, I don't want to know. I don't know. And that was, again, yeah. Don't make a Nacho Libre 2. Anybody that listens to this, if you're a part of the Nacho Libre 2 fan base, stop. It's time to stop. We're not doing it. You need to stop. Get some other movies. If we're going to make prequels to things, pick something else. If we're going to make sequels, pick something else. Like Violent Night. Let's get a prequel to Violent Night. That's what I want. I want to see how Santa Claus became Santa Claus. That dude shredded. I want that.
Yeah. We will probably get that.
We better get that because that one, they have a very interesting story plot that they could. Okay, it's okay if they don't. It's okay if they don't. They don't need to. But if we're just gonna start pooping out crappy sequels and prequels to things, there's an interesting storyline. How does a Norse dude become Santa? I want to watch that.
As of August 9th, the director and David Harbour have both said that, yes, it's in development. So they are making Violent Night 2.
Yes. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, now I know what movie we have to talk about at Christmas. Okay, so now let's look at the true story of Sergio Gutierrez Benitez, the guy who inspired Nacho Libre. What do you got for us?
Oh, shoot. I forgot we're doing a fake true stories. We're not just talking about wrestling and stuff. Hold on, I gotta find where it's at in my notes. Got like 3 pages of notes here. Yes. So Sergio Gutierrez Benitez, aka Fray Tormenta, which means Friar Storm, was a luchador for 23 years, I believe, in Mexico. He actually started off, it wasn't just like a random, like, oh, like I'm going to become a wrestler who makes money for an orphanage. He was actually inspired by comic books not comic books, it was TV shows that he was watching, El Señor Tormenta and Tormenta en el Ring, which were about a priest who worked secretly as a wrestler to support orphans. It was 2 Mexican films from the 1960s. So he was inspired by that. But he had like a really rough life growing up. So there's a reason why he wants to support these children. According to some articles that I read, I couldn't find like any autobiographies. Apparently a lot of things say his story is constantly changing about what he's done, because he's old, like he's still alive. He's 70, he's in his 80s now, if not older than that. But by the age of 9, he was already a part of a gang and addicted to drugs, to give you an idea. And that's a 9-year-old. To give people context in the audience who are like, what does that mean? Imagine a 3rd grader in a gang and addicted to drugs. That's how old he was. So his family moved to Mexico City after his uncle was murdered. and while he was like growing up in Mexico City, he was actually a paleta salesman, which is ice cream, and also a pencil maker. And by 20, he realized like my life is not going very good. So he went to confession and actually told the priest, like, I'm a drug addict, I need help. And the priest, I kid you not, was like, this isn't a rehab center, took him out of the confessional and threw him out on the street. So then he went further into drugs and was like, dang, like my life ain't good. So he once again actually went back to the church, but he didn't go to confession. He was like, you know what, like I've always been interested in like being a priest. So he went to join the Piarist order, which is the oldest religious order focused on education. It is a poverty order of monks, so they live off of a poverty basis. They don't make like a livable salary or anything. It's like it's poverty level, primarily educating poor children. That is their job. They're religious, Catholic order of monks and friars that educate poor kids. They have a lot of successes actually, especially with special education. So much so that European public schools actually base a lot of their teachings not off of like the curriculum, but off of the structures of these schools that the friars put on because it's so successful. Just to give you an idea for that. So he actually went to become ordained. He traveled around, and then one day when he was leaving his parish, because eventually he was put in Veracruz. He was in a parish there. He wasn't at the cathedral in Veracruz. He was in a really like poor kind of slummy area in the barrios, and he was primarily ministering to prostitutes, drug addicts, gang members who actually beat him up and were like, we don't want clergymen here. We don't like you. And he was like, dang, like this is really difficult, kind of a thing. And one day when he was leaving mass, he actually found a dude ODing and he was dying. So he was rushing him to the hospital. And while he was taking him there, he gave him I don't know if it was last rites and his last confession, but he for sure heard his last confession, which he wasn't supposed to do because he wasn't ordained yet. But he felt like he wanted to do that for this guy because he was about to die. And 3 days later, he was ordained and he took his vows and became a priest. And he chose to stay at that really raunchy parish rather than waiting to go to the cathedral because he figured they needed more help than other places. It was pretty soon after that he started to jump into wrestling because he started to take in kids. He was like, you know what, like I'm a part of this order now. I want to educate our orphans and kids that need help. This is a rough area. I'm going to start taking them in to care for them. But they weren't able to find a permanent place to stay and create an orphanage. They started moving around the country, and then they finally settled in Texcoco, but they found a place to settle, but the local diocese was like, we're not paying for an orphanage. We don't have the money. So he was like, bet. And that's whenever he started to wrestle. So he started to wrestle, and all the money that he was earning, he was putting into the orphanage. He put on his mask, which was gold and yellow, which he claims actually has meetings. He says the yellow or the gold is for the liveliness that Fray Tormenta must display in the ring, and the red is for the blood that Fray Tormenta must spill on behalf of his orphanage. So that's why he wears those colors. And actually, the bishop of his diocese was like, yo, you got to stop that. It's not kosher, bro. And he was like, you gonna give me money for the orphanage? And he was like, and he's like, I'm gonna keep doing it. I'll stop until you give me money. So he kept wrestling. He became very popular because Mexico is the biggest Catholic country in the world. Fun fact, even more than Italy. So a lot of the luchadors are actually Catholic. So they were asking him to like bless him before their fights, and he'd baptize kids and all that, which was really crazy. He got a pretty big following. He did this for 23 years. And he continued to live in poverty throughout all of this. He was making money, like a good amount of money as a wrestler, but all of the money he won, he put it into the orphanage. He served the orphans that he worked for. He sold his life rights twice, according to an article that I read. Once was for a 1991 movie called The Man in the Golden Mask, and then for Nacho Libre, he sold his life rights for it. And that he made a cameo appearance, and he gave all of that money from both of those movies to build two orphanages. So he has one in Hidalgo and the other one is in Texcoco. So he has two. I think he served over 2,000 kids in this time. He's helped 2,000 kids go through. He calls them his cubs, which is adorable. And some of them have become doctors, others have become teachers, some are accountants, computer technicians, lawyers, a priest, and about 20 wrestlers. So he's had wrestlers from this. And one of the kids actually has taken on the mantle as Fray Tormenta Jr. So because he was doing this, he was doing a good job. He's retired now. He's really old. He's still a priest. He's still active. One of his former students, we don't know who it is, took on this persona. So now there's another Fray Tormenta Jr. that's going through. He has the mask on, he's wearing it, and we don't know who it is because that's a big part of luchador culture is the mask. You wear the mask, you don't take it off. We didn't know what Fray Tormenta looked like until not very long ago, actually. I'm pretty sure. Or no, we did. It's not him. I'm sorry. It's another wrestler that was really popular. Shoot, what's his name? Santo is a really popular luchador. We didn't know what he looked like for years until he almost died. Like that's just an example. The masks are really vital to this. You don't have to wear a mask, but it's a big thing to keep that animosity. It's what people really like are drawn to with the sport. Even in WWE, there are wrestlers that are from Mexico that wear luchador masks. Rey Mysterio wears one. We know what he looks like, but he has one on. He's been demasked before. But there are others like Gran Metalik or Lince Dorado that wear them, and I don't know what they look like in real life. They'll post pictures on Instagram with their mask off, but it's like their neck down. It's a very, very serious cultural thing. In fact, some people are even buried with their masks on, including Santo. He was buried with it on, and then his son, which is I think just Santo Jr. or something like that, or no, it's Hijo del Santo, so it's the son of the saint or whatever. He also is a wrestler and is wearing a mask. And apparently when he was getting divorced from his wife posted pictures of him and was like, this is what he looks like, as like a backlash to get at him. And his lawyers immediately were like, that's not him. Nope, that's not him. That's not him. So it's super serious. Like it's super serious. And that's been going on since wrestling in Mexico really started. And that has its origins in the 1900s. It's been a very long running thing. Though it has like dates as far back as 1863, I think is the earliest I could find. But it started with some Italian guys that came to Mexico, and they brought in like the Greco-Roman, or they brought in a spinoff of a Greco-Roman wrestling where it was free fighting, which is why it's called lucha libre. It's free fight. So you don't have the protections. You can use your feet. You can use your hands. You don't have any sort of weapons. Yeah, and it was really popular at the beginning. And then the father of lucha libre, Salvador Luteroff Gonzalez, was from Mexico. He was living in El Paso watching US wrestling. He was like, I want to bring this to Mexico. Brought it there, and boom, like it became a thing. And actually the organization that he founded, which was Empresa Mexicana de Lucha Libre, nowadays known as Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, or the World Wrestling Council, is the longest running pro wrestling like group in the world. It's been going on the longest, and it's one of many circuits. WWE is a circuit, all Japan circuit. Japan has a big wrestling scene. America has a big wrestling scene, and Mexico does. And they all kind of go around. Ramses, the guy that in the movie, the Silver King, he was on some of the Japanese wrestling circuits for a bit. He died in London while he was doing national or international tours. But lucha libre is definitely different than WWE American style wrestling. Our wrestlers are a lot bigger. It's more focused on like, look at this big ass dude. Like that's kind of what ours are. And they just go in like power strength. Lucha libre is very much acrobatics. They're flying off the ropes. They're smaller dudes because we Hispanics are small. That's just how it is. And you see that actually a lot with lucha libre wrestlers who have come to the WWE circuit, like Rey Mysterio, for example. One of his signature moves is called the 619, which is he like grabs the two ropes and he swings through them to kick somebody. So he like does like a parallel thing to the ground and kicks people. And then Gran Metalik at some point in Lince Dorado, when they were on WWE, they were really big on like literally walking on the ropes and like doing acrobatic like flies off the top and very like high flying stuff. That's what they do more in Mexico. They don't do as much of the like, look at that big, look at it's Andre the Giant, like That's not as much down there, but they do have similar stuff too, like the face and the heels, which for non-wrestling people, there's like a good guy and a bad guy. In America, the face is who people usually root for, the heels are who you don't root for. It's kind of different in Mexico. They have gotta find what they're called. I don't remember what they're called. Oh, the rudos, which are the rule breakers, and the technicos, which are the rule followers. Typically, people apparently go for the rudos because it's more fun to be like, yeah, we're going to go against the societal rules just because they have a different cultural stuff going on, different political scene, which is just bananas. But yeah, as of 2016, a stat did tell me that luchadores in Mexico only make about 25,000 pesos per fight, which is very low, to give you guys a understanding of that. So it's not as much as some of the WWE wrestlers are making, which is millions, but you know, it's still cool. They're getting about 1,400 per fight, just to give people an idea of American money.
That's vicious. That's that's so wild. The culture of this is so specific and so there's so many different facets to it. I love the guy, Sergio, him getting kicked out of the church had me laughing my ass off. I mean, that's just, I don't know why I find that so hilarious. Just him being like, I'm a drug addict and I need help. And he's like, this isn't rehab. Get the fuck out of here.
Get out of here. I mean, that's how, especially like in the time he was growing up in like the, the 1930s and stuff. Absolutely. Like that's absolutely would be going on the 1940s, 50s. Old school Catholics, especially Hispanic Catholics, very devout, very, like do all like depression doesn't exist, that does not surprise me at all that a Mexican priest was all like, this ain't no rehab, get out of here, and just kicked him out, which is so sad because that's, that's not what you would expect to happen, but that doesn't shock me for the culture or anything like that. But the fact that he chose to go back and still fight and still become a priest so he can serve that community is very admirable to me. Like I said, he's still a priest. He still occasionally wear the mask. He was giving like mass in the mask. He was doing like, imagine like going to mass and like the priest comes out in the luchador mask. Like he was doing that, which is really cool. There are pictures of him in it, like holding up like the body of Christ and like, consecrating the Eucharist. And it's great.
I just so in my mind, what just flashed with that was you're going to church, it's like, I don't know, Christmas morning or whatever. And, they're like the priest has a hype man and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, like, the father or something. And out comes fucking Ultimate Warrior. And he's like, doing that weird thing he did with the ropes and stuff. And he's just like coked out of his mind. Like, you ready to talk about Christ? Like just nuts. I would be at church every single day if it was like that. I'd be the most devout Catholic on the planet if it was fucking Ultimate Warrior leading mass. I love that he did that, though, balancing that kind of life. And it's weird, like, you hear that story. I don't immediately think, oh, well, if they're gonna make a movie, cast Jack Black.
No.
Like this sounds like a really good, like possible Oscar-winning drama here that you could make.
You could make it not a comedy. I like the comedy, and that's okay. So the one thing I really historical standpoint, this is not Isabel being about I love the movie, obviously, but from the fake true stories thing, obviously Nacho Libre fake. It's not the story of what happened. However, they don't use his name. Nacho is not. If they had said this is Fray Tormenta and no, that would have been awful because they're ruining his story. It's based off of it. I appreciate the base, and we've talked about that before. That's why I appreciate A League of Their Own, because it's fake characters that are going through this historical event. It's a fake wrestler that's experiencing something that kind of loosely based off of what happened. And I appreciate that because they're not butchering this real story like 300 did. It's not butchering it, or like, Braveheart, or Pocahontas, you're using the real characters. You better tell the story the correct way. Or if you're going to have some sort of little, blah, 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 don't make it so outlandish that people are going to walk away thinking, oh, I guess Pocahontas really was a 20-something-year-old. I guess the Lost Colony of Roanoke, I'm going to dunk on the Lost Colony play again because I hate it so much, really did do these kind of things. Like, no, no, do not. And that's what I like. This movie historically did a good job on that, is they did not use any real characters. It was just here's a fan fiction version of what happened. And it was great. And because of it, you're able to, like, when you learn, oh, it's based, anybody who's listening to this that didn't know this was based off a true story, now you learn about it and you can get a better appreciation for the movie and who inspired it. Because this guy is really cool in what he did. He's really, what it's those cool stories that people really like to hear. It's a nice feel good story that has a lot of hurt in it, because it's not a happy story that he started out with. It was very hard for him to get to where he was, but he took a bad situation and made it into good things. Similar to Nacho, his family died. He was been in this monastery forever. Bad situation turned it into a good thing. The one thing that is very accurate about this movie that I've read multiple times in all of these different articles is the portrayal Jack Black does, and how much the character loves the kids and is doing this for the kids is 100% accurate for what Benitez does. Father Benitez. That is exactly, everybody says he does it for the kids. He loves the kids. That's why he did it. He had in his heart, that's why he's doing it. And you can tell it's what Nacho's doing too. Like, he's doing it because of the kids, and it's so wholesome. Like, from like my little teaching aspect, it's all like, that's so cute, it's precious. But also Jack Black.
Do you think that this movie is far enough removed from the true story that they technically didn't need to purchase his like story rights?
I would say yeah. I would say yeah, because it's not really at all, because Nacho grew up here. Fray, Father Sergio didn't grow up in the parish, so he wasn't already a monk, already working with orphans. He brought in the orphans himself. He didn't have that love arc because he's a priest. Like, traditionally, you don't do that, though it does happen. There's outliers everywhere. Like, you didn't have that. It wasn't that fast of a thing. And also, it's wrestling. The movie has it where Nacho legitimately, he wins. It's wrestling. Lucha Libre is the same thing as WWE. It's staged. So all of that, him like, I'm not winning. You could say it's because he's lower. He's not yet a fully loved person, so they're not going to let him win those fights. He has to keep losing before he has that I won. It makes us feel like he actually won physically, but from my like wrestling fan background, that's them they give him that pop so that he's now the fan favorite. So that's why he beat Ramses. It's like whenever whoever beats Roman Reigns, it's going to be a Nacho Libre story. So I was really hoping it was going to be Sami Zayn, but it wasn't. That was really sad. Anyway.
I always assumed in this movie's universe, like, the wrestling is real.
Yeah, it seems like it is, because they're freaking out. They're like legitimately freaking out whenever they come out, and take it easy. Like,
I mean, Steven's literally getting his hair ripped out of his head.
Lucidius. You let them treat me like that. Summon your eagle powers. What do you think I'm doing? So good, yeah, it's legit, but so that's not real or any of that. But it's great. Like, it's still, I didn't know, honestly, this is based off of a true story until relatively recently. Before I picked it, I knew, but it was within the last year that I think I learned this was based off of a true story, which was fun. So that's why I was excited. I was like, can we do Nacho Libre?
Nice. Yeah, totally. I want to look into more comedies and see, like, because there's a couple comedies that have their roots in real stories that you wouldn't think. Like, there's a movie called 30 Minutes or Less from 2011 that I would love to do here, because it is a comedy that is based on a fucking psychotic tragedy.
Oh.
Like, a pizza delivery guy, somebody strapped a bomb to him and tried to rob a bank, and the bomb went off, I think, and killed the guy. I think. And then they made a movie about him where, like, it's Jesse Eisenberg and they're all goofy and they're like, I got a bomb, but we got to deliver this pizza. So not great. Not a great idea.
At least this story is like, they both end on good notes. Nacho helps the orphanage.
Yeah.
Father Sergio helps the orphanage. Like,
But I would love to know the process there. Like, how do you take a story that even like, Benitez's story is not exactly comedy. It's very there's some tragedy in there. It's inspirational. But how do you like at what point does that evolve into Nacho Libre? Where does the pizza
yeah,
bomber thing evolve into 30 minutes or less?
yeah,
Like there's got to be a moment there where they're like, "Hey, what if this was funny?" And then people just ran with it.
like maybe.
But that's another podcast down the road because I've always wanted to look into that one specifically because like people died. Why do you make this into like a Judd Apatow comedy?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's give some awards to Nacho Libre. Let's start with the best line of the film. I imagine there's going to be some options here.
There's so many. I can't pick any, so I just picked the one that I think I laughed at like the most, which is I already quoted it already. Is how did you find me here? I saw you from the village. Hola, Nacho. Like, just that stupid part. After the whole montage of him like surviving in the desert, like he makes a little fire and the little like thatched, the little twig hut, and he like chops off the cactus with Chancho's mother's lucky machete. Hola, Nacho. They're right there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, I ended up going with I don't know why this made me laugh so much. It was just the exchange or the delivery. It was right after he gets mugged by Steven and he steals the chips. And he's delivering like he's putting out breakfast or lunch and one of the priests goes, "Where are the chips?" And he goes, "Somebody stole them." And the guy goes, "Did you not tell them they were the Lord's chips?" I don't, I don't know why that killed me, but it did.
We quote that too. My mom calls tortilla chips the Lord's chips. Did you not tell them they were the Lord's chips? Well, I tried to, but you are useless and not. See, I can quote this movie, man.
I love the follow up. That one guy who's just like, "This is the worst lunch I've ever had."
This is the worst lunch I have ever had. Do you not realize I have had diarrhea since Easter? Maybe I'm not meant for these duties. Dead guy duties. Maybe it's time for me to get a better duty. I am.
Fuck yeah, that was impressive. Um,
Telling you, I know this movie. Like,
I love that. One line I almost went with, it also just made me laugh, and I didn't expect to hear it in a PG movie, was right after Ramses refuses to take the picture, and like Ignacio is kind of complaining about Ramses, and he says something like, "I used to look up to Ramses, but it turns out he's a real douche."
he's a real douche. I like that scene when they see Ramses and they're like, the children would like a picture of it. And then he looks back at the kids, and that one kid is just like smiling like that in the background. And that is a crazy lady. Like a chipmunk nest. Speaking of, wait. Okay, before we keep doing the awards, okay?
Yeah.
One time I was at mass, right? Okay, I was at mass and we had a seminarian actually there helping with church. And a seminarian, for those that don't know, is like a guy that's or becoming he's training to become a priest. Becoming a priest is a very long process. It's years. You don't just like, I want to be a priest. Ta-da! Like it's like over 7 years, if not up to 11 years of work. So this guy's been in the seminary for a bit and he came in to talk about it just to try and get some more, trying to see if anybody would be interested in possibly, discerning and becoming a priest because it's getting harder and harder to get young guys to do it. So anyway, he was there and he was talking about it. So he was coming up and telling everybody this story about what it's like. And homie, I kid you not, in this church says, being a seminarian is awesome. Every day I wake up and I make soup. It's the best. I was like, he just quoted naturally right in the church. All the young people were dying and all the old people were like, what is this? I'm like, you just quoted naturally. I was really hoping he was gonna. I wake up in a bed alone all of my life. It's fantastic. I was hoping he'd continue. He said the soup. And I called my cousin. I told you, my cousin and I call each other about this movie. I called her as soon as mass was over. And I was like, Prima, guess what this priest just said to us? He wakes up and he makes soup. And it's the best. She's not practicing anymore, but she thought that was great. I'm like, it's the best. I called her. I called my grandma. I called my parents. I called my other cousin. That is how much we love this movie. I just had to say, I make soup. It's the best. And everybody knows where it's from. We all know this is a good movie.
That's fantastic. Oh my God. That's great. But I love that people, religious people can, for lack of a better term, take the stick out of their ass and enjoy this one sometimes. That's great.
Yeah, I've been to some comedy routines at church where the priest is just up there just like da 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 da, and you're like, what? It's great.
Oh, all right, great. Yeah, there's a lot of great lines in this movie. Ooh, my face hurts. I'm laughing so hard. Music moment. Where are we going with that?
This one's hard because there's some good, like, the very opening song is fantastic. I love that. And then when he's in the wilderness and it's like the like kind of pan flute and it's the same, whatever. I picked, though, my favorite music moment is actually the very end when Ramses has his foot on him and he's like, dang. And then he looks up and he sees Encarnacion and the kids coming in. And then it comes back into the I am. Like, it's just such an epic, like, yeah. And everybody's like cheering. It's such a feel good moment. It's awesome. The music comes in. It brings back the first song. And it's just like, yeah, and I love it. And yeah, that's my favorite music moment. There's so many, but that's got to be my favorite.
Mine too. I picked the same thing.
Yeah.
My favorite part is when Ramses like turns around and sees Nacho getting like ready to dive into the crowd and he like freaks out and tries to like scramble away. Yeah, it's the Rocky moment of the movie.
It is.
Yeah, it's great. I almost went with the like just I'm singing at the party song. You
could have also done the Encarnacion song. I can sing that whole one too. I can sing that one. I can sing I'm singing at the party.
Oh, I love when he just randomly, like when Jack Black shines through with the zip bip 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 thing he always does. Like there's Jack Black. Oh, good. Yeah, this is a delightful. I'm gonna buy this.
It's free on YouTube right now.
I watched it on Prime. It was free there too. But I enjoyed this. I want this in my collection. It's great performance. I mean, yeah, obviously it's Jack Black.
I'm sorry, like I don't usually like to pick the main actor. Jack Black makes this movie. It is so good. I love his accent. I don't give a shit if anybody thinks it's offensive. I love it. Like, it is fantastic. It is a good movie. He's hilarious. His character, and then he has really good chemistry with, I don't remember who plays Steven, but Escaleto. Like, they have good chemistry together and they feed off of each other really well. Just the awkwardness of Steven and Jack Black. It's
Hector Jimenez. That's the guy who plays Steven. Yeah, I think they're great together. I was not expecting to see Peter Stormare in this. He plays the like the guy who tells him to go eat the eagle.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The power of the eagle. He wears boots to go up and climb. He's got his boots and his slacks. That's for you, Prima. He has his boots on.
When he just like cracks open the egg and just like slurping it up. Oh my God. Okay. Best scene. What is the best scene of the movie?
This one is also very hard because I love so many, but I'm going to go back to my favorite musical moment when he's flying towards Ramses. I have always laughed my ass off on how far he just
Eagle powers. Eagle powers.
Yeah, the eagle. It's not an eagle noise. It's a red-tailed hawk. But like when he's flying, and then the wholesome moment when all the kids are so excited because you won, and everyone, yay! It's just like you. Forgot about because I was trying to figure it out. I was like, what is that? And then I was getting towards that part, like, that's it. I forgot. And the camera angle, my favorite specific part of it, the camera angle where you see him go to the side. It's like a side profile of it. We used to rewind that when we were kids and watch it again and again and again just because he goes so far.
He does. He gets some air. That was great. Mine happened very early on. It was it was a moment that I had to pause. I was laughing so hard. It's Ignacio is sent to this house to deliver the last rites.
Where is he?
Oh my god. He puts the coins on his eyes, which is, I don't think that's a Mexican. Is that a Mexican thing? I thought that was Greek.
I don't know. I don't actually know. If I were to ask my grandmother, she said, "Mija, we're not those kinds of Mexicans." She would say we don't do that. Just like we don't put chamoy on fruit. Some places do it, I think. Others don't. My cousin and I got that one too. She'll call me again and she'll be like, "Prima, my wife, or I was married to a beautiful woman, and I had what, like a collection of Russian nesting dolls. May he rest in peace."
Well, he's doing this thing with he puts the tablecloth like over his face, and then he's like just praying with her, and then the guy just reaches up and takes the bucket, and he just looks up. It's that immediate. Just, holy sh! I was dying. Just that was the best shock scream I've ever heard in my life. I mean, if you thought somebody was dead, you look over and they're moving. That's exactly the noise you're gonna make.
And the homie looks so like, like what?
Oh my god! Yeah, that was easily my favorite moment of the movie.
I had another friend that would always quote, "I hate all the orphans," anytime he get mad at me. So they get to my face. I hate them. Yo, this movie, I'm telling you, this one and then Napoleon Dynamite, like, he doesn't need to make more movies. He has 2 bangers and they're good in my book, and that's what matters.
Fair enough. Yeah, he did. He made his mark on comedy and then kind of bounced.
Said I am out.
Shit. Oh, all right. Well, that was really fun. To end this episode, let's take a look at what Letterboxd has to say on our final segment, What's in the Box?
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
What's in the box? Tell us. And then remember, you got to add the punching through a box noise. I require that.
I'm gonna keep Brad Pitt screaming about the box. I love that. I didn't think I was gonna be able to make that work, but it's worked pretty well. Nacho Libre has a 3.1 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is better than I expected.
It should be a 5.
I don't know about 5. It's funny, but 5, that's pushing it. There is no 5 on Letterboxd. Like,
well, then 4.9. Above average, above what you can get.
I have 4 reviews here, a mixture of good and bad. I usually go straight for just the negative stuff because those are the funniest, especially when it's like a revered movie and people are just like, The Godfather, fuck that shit. Like, I love those because those people are usually crazy. But here, the negative ones were just most of it were just like, this is dumb. So you can't work with that. So I went with these. This first one's from Ray Villeja. Jack Black, our finest Mexican actor, 4 stars.
That was good.
I like the explanation of, he's half Scandinavian and he was raised in Mexico. That is a perfectly acceptable reason for me to not, because I wrote a whole thesis in grad school about Hispanic representation in film, and I felt like I should hate this. Like, why doesn't this bother you? That's why. I'll take it.
Honestly, though, I'm sorry. Even if they didn't have that, I would not care. And most Hispanics probably would not care because we're like, it's a good movie. Like, it's not, it's our culture.
Most of those, like most of that offense comes from white people trying to be, the most woke person in the room, and that's not helping anybody.
Y'all don't have to be offended for me.
No. This is from Dan.
It.
This is from Dan Ranza. Actually, exactly what we were just talking about. If another gringo or non-Latino tries explaining to me, a Latino, how this movie is racist, I'm gonna pop a Full Metal Jacket in their skull. 5 stars. Yeah. Thank you, Dan. I agree.
That's who loves it. It's the Hispanics that love this movie. Except for my cousins in El Paso. They did not think this was funny. They didn't think it was offensive. They just were like, we don't get the humor, which sucks because it's a good movie.
I can understand that. Yeah, I have family members who, when I told them I was doing Nacho Libre, they were like, why?
It's a good movie.
This one's from Jose. I actually yelled when Jack Black threw that corn on the ground. 2.5 stars.
Escaleto's face. Get that corn out of my face. Brother, and I do that too. If someone puts something in our face, get that corn out of my face.
This was the first time I ever saw corn like that. Like, I didn't know you could do that to corn.
You've never seen elotes before?
Not when I saw it. Like, I mean, the first time I saw this, not recently.
Yeah.
But like when I was a kid and I saw this, I just thought corn on the cob made in like, boiled on the stove because I was raised by white people. So I just thought that was what you did with corn. But then I'm like, you could do magical things with corn.
Elotes, which is just corn, but if you say elotes, people know you're talking about putting, well, because elote means corn, but like they know that you're putting like crema on it, lime, tajin, probably. I put tajin on it, or just chili and queso fresco. Mwah! It is so good. I hated corn forever until last year when I came to North Carolina. I said, this food here sucks. And for some reason, my taste buds were like, I want some of that corn. I mean, send me a piece of that corn for later. Like, I wanted that really bad. I started eating it. It's really good. Yeah, I would be pissed too if someone brought me an elote and then slapped it on the ground. Like,
I know this is going to sound weird and unbelievable, but Chili's has an amazing elote.
I also really like chili salsa, so I can't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't be shocked by that.
I don't like to give chains like, food spotlights, but I don't know. They are fucking rocking that corn. They really are.
Yeah.
In fact, tomorrow I will probably be over there having some corn because now it's on my mind. This last one's from Todd Hill. Sometimes, perhaps when we least expect it, fortune compels us to wear the stretchy pants. And sometimes, when life gets really tough, we must strap on the red booties too. I have to express admiration for this throwaway comedy's decision to shoot primarily in Mexico, with a virtually all-Mexican cast, apart from Jack Black. It seems odd, therefore, that there is so much in this film that is demeaning and offensive to Mexicans. Nevertheless, this is a very strange review. This guy goes all over the place. Nevertheless, the movie has its moments. I'm recalling, for instance, a quiet interlude when Nacho and Esqueleto are seen preparing for yet another wrestling match. Nacho leaning against a toilet stall and extending his ample belly while Esqueleto smiles, exposing his crooked teeth. I become emotional just thinking about it. 2.5 stars.
I don't like that. I don't like that review at all.
I don't know what the hell he's like. Did he like this? Did he not like this? What is
According to his 2.5 stars, he didn't, but okay, offensive.
Yeah. Also, just in case you're wondering, he is white.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
There's not a lot of brown people with the name Todd.
Todd.
Yeah, just throwing that out there. Call me, say it's racist as much as you want. You find me a brown Todd and I'll stop saying that. Well, that was fun. This is a 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. It's a 5 out of 5 for you.
5 out of 5. Well, it's on my tens list. If I ever start actually reviewing things to get on the tens list. This is
I
up
think
there.
I think you should. I think I'd love to hear your thoughts on random shit that you just watched in your spare time. I think that would be really cool.
It's fun. I have a lot of opinions about things, and it's great.
I know. I'm scared to tell you about like any sequels coming out.
Yeah, y'all heard that. Y'all heard. I'll bite someone's. I wish all of the directors making sequels to movies that don't deserve sequels. I hope they never get delicious French fries with their orders ever again. They're always going to be soggy and gross. That is what I wish upon them. That is how much I don't like them.
Wow. I mean,
May your French fries always be soggy and limp.
Straight to DEFCON 1, huh? Like no. Wow, that's harsh. You can't take back that kind of insult.
No, that's how I feel. Come at me. If you think I'm wrong, donate money to the podcast to spite me.
Love that. Yeah.
Also, offer still up there. If you donate money to the podcast, I'll send you a postcard from North Carolina.
Awesome. I just realized we went this entire podcast without talking about Escaleto throwing a fucking piece of corn through a guy's eye socket.
The guy's eye. And then the chick that has the secret tunnels.
That creeped me out. I don't know why that creeped me out, but it creeped me out. Her like waddling through the tunnel. Like, Jesus, that's nightmarish.
I'm telling y'all. That dude 2 out of 2.5. You suck. I hope you just get burnt fries. That's what you should get.
I hope you get corn in the face.
Corn in the face. A corn in the eye for you.
This was PG. This was produced by Nickelodeon. How did they get away with that?
That's the worst part of that whole movie. Is that because you see it. It doesn't just click. It's there for a good couple of seconds. You're like, oh. I knew it was coming, so I just turned away. So I'm gonna look at my other screen while this is gonna happen.
I had on this watch, I had a feeling that was gonna happen. Like I had a vague memory of seeing that before, but I was also like, this is PG, Nickelodeon. There's no way. And then it happens, and I'm just like, wow. And then it's never brought up again. There's no repercussions. It's just Jesus. This is a lawless
Dude just
wasteland.
gets corn and eye. We also didn't talk about the battle jam and the dude named El Chino and the dude named El Snowflake. Like we didn't talk about them.
I love
that. A lot
that.
of those dudes, like I said, were wrestlers though. But
the kid stealing the bread from Silencio. I love that. Like this.
And Steven coming to a I need to be nice to orphans moment and ran over Silencio's foot to help the orphan get his bread. Also, the dude in the battle jam with the chair. Siéntate. Siéntate.
Oh my God, I was dying.
And then El Snowflake just doing all like the dancing moves and just kicking. I also like the scene, honorable mention, the montage of them fighting different groups. So like they fight like the dudes with like the belts, Mr. Loco, that song or whatever, Mr. Loco, Eagle Man or whatever. And they after you had the Eagle powers, that whole thing. I love that montage too, where they're fighting the different groups and just getting their like asses handed to them. It's so good. And Escaleto just keeps getting his hair ripped out.
Oh, damn. Yeah, this is a gem. People need to revisit this one. Seriously, this needs new life.
People sleep on it too much. It's good.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are just they don't want to be perceived as offensive. I think that's what a lot of it is these days. They don't want to sing praises of a movie that might make them look like they're not, PC, which is bullshit because again, the character makes sense.
It does. Yeah, he says it at the beginning. He said, my mom was from Scandinavia, my dad was from Mexico. They both tried to convert each other. Instead, they fall in love. And then they die. Like, there's the storyline. That's how it's okay.
Oh, yeah. This is great. This has, yeah. So obviously not true, but not fake either. I think somewhere in the middle, the heart's like a league of their own. The heart's in the right place.
It's more true than 300 in Pocahontas. Not as true as Apollo 13. So it's like it's there. Yeah. If we
And
have
not-
like a little scale of like where things are, it's like it's not Apollo 13, but it's not Pocahontas. Like
Yeah. And over there, straight up in absolutely true, we've got Amityville. Because
yeah,
ghosts exist, and that family was 100% in the right as we explored.
Yeah. Another thing I just want to point out before we sign off. Who makes this movie again? What's the director's name?
Jared Hess.
Jared Hess has a affinity for making food appear and disappear in scenes. If you watch Napoleon Dynamite again and you watch Nacho Libre again, watch the food people are eating. It changes. So like when they're eating toast, he's like biting it and you see the bite and then it goes back to the scene. Most of the toast is gone. And it comes back to the scene and the toast is back. They do that in Napoleon Dynamite too, and it's great. Like it's just those like little things that you see that make these movies even better because you pay attention and you see that. And I love it. They do it a lot in Napoleon Dynamite, especially.
I think that's just bad editing, but accidental comedy.
I don't care. It's great.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Filmgazm Productions. If you want to suggest films for us to check out, you can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com, or, of course, send us a message through the socials. Check out our Letterboxd accounts for daily reviews. You can search for me at Connor95, and in my friends list, you can find the rest of the team. Check out the website, filmgazm.com, or I have a link to that Letterboxd if you want to read reviews. You can also find articles, trailers of upcoming films, including sequels, and every episode of our show. If you'd like to become a monthly donor to Filmgazm Productions, feel free to click on the link in the episode description. From there, click on Support This Podcast. You can choose to donate $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month. All donations go right back into the show. Thanks to the entire Filmgazm team for their constant friendship and contributions to the show. Thanks to you for checking it out. Fake True Stories, much like First Thoughts, is not a weekly show. We put one together whenever we both got the time and whenever we're ready. The next pick is well, should we announce it? I mean, are we set in stone on that?
You don't have to. I'm good doing it.
All right, fuck it. Yeah, we're doing Tombstone.
I'll be your Huckleberry, baby. We're gonna watch Val Kilmer. Woo! We get mustaches. I'm gonna talk so much about mustaches and hats. Y'all wait.
I've been wanting to do a Western on this show since we started it. Tombstone is regarded as one of the most historically accurate biopics ever made. So I think it's going to be fun to test that theory. And it's a fucking awesome story. Tombstone kicks ass, and I'm very excited to watch it. I've only seen it once. I'm very excited to watch it again. Sweet. And then we got something really fun planned for October that we will announce next time.
It's going to be good. It's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Crazy fucking true story behind that. You wouldn't believe it.
Y'all wait. I am doing that first look. I am going to Fake True Stories, the lore, because I know the lore of this series. We're going to Fake True Stories, the fake story of the fake lore of Five Nights at Freddy's.
I had zero intentions of watching that, but I will, just so you have that opportunity, because you're very much looking forward to that.
Five Nights at Freddy's. Is that the bite of 87? Like, I'm so excited.
I might have to do some research because I know dick about that whole world. I know nothing.
Just go watch Markiplier play it.
Oh, all right.
That's it. I'm going to out myself right now. That's how I know the lore, is because I, like every other 12-year-old, have watched Markiplier play Five Nights at Freddy's. Because I am a weenie. But Markiplier say funny things, so it makes it okay.
We got that. Yeah. So that's coming out in October. So we'll definitely be doing a first thoughts on that. And the mystery movie, obviously a horror movie inspired by true events, a popular one. It's going to be fun.
Amityville Horror again.
Yeah, we're doing the remake. No, I promise. We're not doing that.
Also, just one more thing. Sorry. I know you already did all the sign off things. I didn't mention the name of the orphanage that he found. It's La Casa Hogar de los Cachorros de Fray Tormenta, just to give that out there. That's the one that he founded. It's still in operation, still serving kids today. There are ways that you can support it. I haven't found any easily accessible ones online, but definitely look into this guy. It's a fantastic story. So I'm glad that we were able to give him a shout out because homie real, we love him.
Yeah, guy should be a saint. The stuff he's done for children. That's
honestly, it's possible.
Sweet. Well, with that, in the meantime, take it easy, keep watching movies, and we'll see you next time.